exactly just that in our first game. And yeah, hopefully there should be a chip ban. But wow, that's very, very fast bans coming through here for both sides. They actually go in with the same bans here. Eterna, no other bans at all. No chip ban here, which means it's open for the taking. ONIC Zone can actually steal it away from the side of Falcons Vega.
I mean, I usually say, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, I mean, it broke, but it looks like ONIC Zone don't want to fix it, right? The same bans coming through, like you mentioned. We have the Novaria being banned out as well, Roger, and Terizla is the change, however. So we can see that for ONIC Zone, they're putting a little bit more emphasis onto the gold lane, perhaps utilizing the Roger to go for the snowball play, but the counter plays coming in from Falcons is also very quick, right, with the Minotaur and the Fredrin for more early game neutral objective control.
Yeah, lots of beefy frontliners here for Falcons Vega. I mean, you have to get through to this. Now they've taken away the Minotaur here of Jewel. They've also banned away the Grok, which means that she might actually just go for something completely different. She's more of the setter type of tank, so I'm not so sure how good she is or how comfortable she is with playing, support type of heroes like Matilda, which is, by the way, still open right now for the taking. I think, if they want to beef up this lineup even more, maybe Bene can just go for, classic Mortis, or maybe even just go for the Barretts, just like what she did in game number 1.
That's definitely a big possibility. I think also for her. Oh, right. The Harith has been left open. So Flex pick on the Roger.
Yeah.
Flex gonna be putting the Roger in the jungle with the Harith in the gold lane. This is a top priority hero through and through. I think in MPL ID and MPL PH, just a season ago, the Harith was at 100% ban and pick rate.
Yep.
So early game, great. Late game, the damage is also there.
Yep.
Mid game, very strong. I don't know how Falcons opt to go for the win in this gold lane.
Yeah, there's a lot of dive heroes here as well for ONIC Zone, which kind of explains like what kind of team they are. They're very good with the aggression type of play too, so they still need someone to kind of enable that. I still would say Matilda. Okay, yeah, right. As I say that, they're gonna be banning it away from Falcons Vega. Good call. But now I think for ONIC Zone, they have to ensure that Rian actually wins her lane, so they're taking away as much marksmen as they can. Now having the Roger on their side, this might actually just be Benes here, or maybe even like put the Harriet on the jungle role. Like, it's so flexible here for ONIC Zone. So now last bad, they should actually focus more on Chincha or what she can actually pull off here in this second game.
With the X-Borg banned out as well, it's also respecting the EXP lane. They definitely want to give a priority lane for the EXP. These side lanes are so strong already for ONIC Zone at the moment. And we've seen so many teams look for a counterplay towards this Harith. In MPL ID, we saw an Esmeralda.
Yeah.
We saw even a Lunox being placed into that gold lane to try and vie against the Harith, to try and look for that counterplay. But none have been successful as of yet.
Well, if it's ranked games that you're talking about, I've actually seen the Esmeralda work out. But if you think about it, like overall, right, the Esmeralda just isn't so good right now in the current meta. Like, it favors heroes still, like the Fredrin, the heroes that benefit from the class of the Oasis. But now it seems like ONIC Zone is going for a very similar setup as what Falcons Vega had earlier on. You got the Eat It, the Onwards was very useful earlier, as well as the knockups coming out from the chip, which, by the way, I don't think is gonna get picked up here at this point, not unless ONIC Zone is saving that for their last pick. But it seems to be that this Eat It pick is a jewel hero, so this might actually be the roamer here for ONIC Zone.
Yeah, I don't think there's any more flex coming through from ONIC Zone. They're just looking for that mid lane, which is why the Lilia was the priority ban coming in from Falcons. They didn't want them to gain more early game pressure, understanding that the Lilia has such great wave clear in the mid lane. So they're gonna go for a different route here though for Falcons, completely different. They're gonna go play for the late game, Arlet and the Natan.
Yeah, this is a very honest draft coming out from Falcons Vega. It's just very straight up, right? Like you kind of know where these heroes are gonna go. Very standard type of roles. Great early game, great late game as well with the Nathan. So it's a very balanced lineup. But for Onyx Sol, this is a very risky type of draft that they're pulling off. Not to mention that there's two heroes that need to scale up. You got the Roger, you got the Harriet. Now they need someone to kind of mesh that in all together, right? It might actually be Ben's hero, or perhaps yeah, it should be Ben's hero. Maybe is it gonna be an assassin this time for her, or wait?
I think it's gonna be a mid laner. I think it's gonna be
Yeah,
a
mid
hit
laner.
for Rain. They're going to go for the Farsa. So
Okay.
that's exactly what Alilia can offer, right? Early game, wave clear. They want to have that priority mid trio in order to roam around and play with the side lanes. This is a very scary early game for ONIC. I definitely see
Yeah.
one of the biggest winning conditions for Falcons Vega to try and weather the storm and get to that late game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at this, right, these are heroes coming out from the side of Falcons Vega that you don't want to face as a Roger. Like instantly after the Roger was picked, for the side of Falcons Vega, they already had answers to that. Picking up the Fredrin, picking up the Minotaur. I mean, if you're a Roger, you wouldn't want to dive in those two beefy front lines that you have, right? So I think it really takes a whole lot more time here for Onyx Sol to be able to scale up, especially since their jungler right now needs a little bit more time, right? The Roger needs like at least 1 or 2 items before it has that power spike. So Onyx has to be a little bit more careful as they head over into the second match, which is, by the way, Eterna, the match point already for Falcons Vega.
Definitely one more game to go for Falcons Vega to make it to the next stage in the tournament. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's head into the Land of Dawn for game number 2 in this best of 3 series between Falcons Vega and Onyx Sol.
Yeah, 2 glass cannon heroes for the side of Onyx Sol. You got a marksman, you got the Roger into the jungler role, and the classic Harriet. Actually, I think this is a signature pick as well coming out from Rian. So I would say that this can really pressure out the Nathan in the early game. You were talking about the Nathan earlier, and the Nathan really needs those items. Really needs a good rotation from the team to be able to scale up. But now Jewel in trouble. Flickers out once again. Very, very early on. There was a lot of pokes coming out from Agatha and Thal.
Yeah, very great early game damage from the Vexana, but the problem is mobility, which is what the Farsa has a little bit more to play with, right? With the Wings by Wings, she can roam across the map, help out those side lanes to push in that snowball even quicker than before. And that's exactly what we're seeing really just unplay and unfold in this second game between both of these teams.
There's a lot of plays that can be made here by Falcons Vega. You got the Fredrin, you got the final slash coming out from the Arlot here as well. So I think team fights, they have to be extra careful at that. And looking at both of our junglers, they've already reached that level 4. And right now, the biggest question is, who's going to be able to take in the first turtle? Not unless someone goes for the engage. Okay, it's going to be Jewel, going to get worked on here by Caramel, going to be able to dash out to safety here for Jewel, but it's going to be Bene picking up that first blood for the side of Onyx Sol.
But it looks like Caramel actually committed her retribution to try and look for that kill. So there's no retribution for Falcons Vega yet. And they do have to buy some time if they look to go for the consideration on the turtle. You can see Ariang already posturing, opening up the map, opening up vision for their team to look for this neutral objective, but it has been resetted.
Attorney Ang seems to be so comfortable with his hero, right? Like twice, this was a priority hero for the side of Onyx Sol. So this means that they did put a lot of focus on the XP lane here for the side of Onyx Sol. So Attorney Ang looking for the right timing to land in that penalty zone. Jewel as well. That's waiting in for that onwards in case somebody goes in. Finally shows herself. But right now, no one's starting up that lore just yet. Violet as well getting that final slash ready. But Onyx Sol, you can see their hesitation right now, right? Before getting into the lore, because they know all of these ultimates are up. Fede gonna be the first one to fall. Violet gonna work on Jewel. Attorney Ang as well trying to look for something, but it's still not enough damage. Jewel gonna be able to pop in that Primal Wrath, forcing everyone from Falcons Vega to back away. So it's Benev for the price of none, actually.
Yeah, Falcons Vega, they win it out completely, right? Because right before they went in for this turtle fight, Benny was 2 levels ahead of Caramel. So even if they wanted to go for a 5v5, play that 50-50, Onyx Soul would have had the advantage in this regard. But Falcons Vega, they forced it into a position that Onyx Soul couldn't go for the contest. But here we go.
Yep. Now Violet gonna be able to zone away Bennett. Now she's gonna be punished as Attorney Ang actually secures and no, actually that was Falcons Vega picking up that first turtle of the game. Caramel with the retribution on point, but Onyx will actually find some clapback there, find some kills, but they are unable to secure any of these objectives just yet.
See, this is insane, right? Because despite all that going through, Benny still had a level lead. It was no longer 2 levels ahead, but it was a level ahead. And yet Caramel was still able to get that retribution down. Super clean team fight from Falcons Vega that quote-unquote has the better late game composition. And they've been working really well to work against the clock. Yep. Meanwhile, for Onyx Zol, they require that snowballing potential. They require that early game presence. As we take a look into the item build, so the Natan already has one item built into his arsenal, very far from that power spike, but the Harith with the Starlium is also already dealing some damage, can have an impact in these team fights.
Yeah, a level ahead for Bene, like what you mentioned, right? She also has the most gold so far. Next up is going to be, of course, Chin Chao still leading, so they need to focus fire on Chin Chao at that, but right now it's going to be a team fight. That's gonna get bursted down. Agata, first one to fall. Caramel, not gonna be able to take anything. Attorney actually goes all the way back in and gets punished there by Chin Chao. And now the rest of the members of ONIC, they're gonna have to back away. And if you think about it, there's a whole lot more heals, a whole lot more of crowd control here for the side of Falcons Vegas. So there's a lot of hesitation here coming out from the side of Onyx All, especially when it comes to the team fight. But now Rian, you see that damage coming through here as well, forcing Tal to back away right now.
Was it a miscommunication earlier on for Onyx Zol? Falcons Vega looked in for a re-engage into that team fight, but Onyx Zol members were dispersed. It looked like they weren't ready for that pickoff, and Falcons Vega were able to get the advantage in that regard.
Yeah. The feathered airstrike is a problem too as well for Falcons Vega, right? They have so many good tools for the team fights, but with that feathered airstrike from Rain, it just kind of lets everybody disperse away. Right now, here comes the second turtle. Jewel, gonna be the first target here for Violet. Gonna be able to knock back up as Violet goes in for the final kill. Caramel once again secures in the Lord, and the rest of Onyx Zol, they're gonna be melted down here by Chin Chao. But Attorney Ang is able to find a trade-off onto Agatha.
That's a 2-for-2 trade, ladies and gentlemen, but Falcons still going to be able to pick up that neutral objective, and to make it worse, Chin Chao picks up those kills. 2-0-1 on the Natan earlier on is definitely not a sight that you would like to see if you were on the opponent's end. And unfortunately now Chin Chao already picks up the second item, the Starlium Scythe, already in her arsenal to utilize in these team fights.
Caramel as well, gonna be the focus fire here of Onyx Zol. They want to take in this tower as Rian. Chin Chao as well, mirroring the move on the bottom side. They actually don't get the tower. They're still able to defend it. 4-5 is the score. It's not that far of a lead just yet, but you know the time's ticking, especially for Onyx Zol, right? They need to take care of Chin Chao right now, who has been taking down towers. And this is a Nathan that we're talking about. It's not as broken as it was before, but it can just spread these towers apart, especially once it has the item. Earlier, it had that penetration boots, it had that Feather of Heaven. So like one more item more, it can actually dish out a whole lot of damage here up against Onyx Zol.
Yeah, I imagine like the Holy Crystal or the Blood Wings, just depending on the scenario at the moment, is going to be a problem for Onyx Zol as this game continues to progress. And you can see that Onyx Zol are looking for some trade-offs on the map, right? They were looking for that tower in top side. It was denied away for them. So Falcons Vega, they're really taking control over this game. And remember, sure, the Feather Airstrike does amazing burst damage even from the early game without items. But the problem is, you're a standing duck with so much dive and CC coming through from Falcons Vega, and the way that Violet has been playing immaculately in the backline. Rain really needs to time her Feather Airstrike properly in order to maximize that damage in these team fights.
Is she really a standing duck? I feel like she's more of a standing
Bird? Parrot?
Bird? Yeah.
Chicken? No.
No, I think it's more of a bird. Falcon? Phoenix? I think it's a phoenix because she has the phoenix skin, the collector skin. So I think, yeah, standing phoenix. Yeah, honestly, the timing has to be right. Positioning has to be right. And speaking of that, Falcons Vega, right now, they know they have the control over the side lanes, over the turrets. They're going to be working on this Lord. Half HP already. Attorney Ang looking for the proper setup as well for the penalty zone. Jewel as well looking for the right target, but right now, speaking of the target, it's going to be Thal. Going to be able to knock out 4 members on the side of ONIC Soul, forcing out the Fendered airstrike from Rain. It's going to be able to force everyone to back away, but this is what we were worried about. Jin Chao on a killing spree. Violence well able to aid everyone with that final slash, picking up a double for the side of Falcons Vega. 3 members are down for the side of ONIC Soul and Falcons Vega. They are free to be able to take this first Lord of the game.
Violet has been doing work this game on the Arlet. It's been a question why this Arlet has been banned out, and on Violet, we understand why, right? Despite that beautiful engage from Aryang with the penalty zone onto the backline, which, by the way, hit 3 members, the follow-up just wasn't there. And Violet was doing so well in the backline of the opponents that they couldn't even dish out the damage in that team fight. And now, Jin Chao, Holy Crystal.
Yeah, that's huge, right? We were waiting for this. They are waiting for this. And it is time to activate all of that. You see the members of ONIC Soul actually backing away from all the damage. And that's just coming out from Jin Chao. They have to defend up against this Lord too. And I think for Falcons Vega, they want to work their way towards the side lanes or at least push down the second tier turret. And the biggest problem here for the side of ONIC Soul is the heals coming out from Thal as well, right? Like Attorney Ang, you've seen her set up a lot of good penalty zones, but it's always either cancelled out or getting nullified by Thal's heals from the Minotaur.
Definitely, it's definitely been a big problem, and now Feather Airstrike has been opened up. And it looks like ONIC Soul will be able to defend the inhibitor turrets for now, but ladies and gentlemen, all 3 lanes are still pushing in favor of Falcons Vega, and it looks like they're going in for another strike.
Yeah, they don't have the Lord anymore. Second tiers are gone right now. A lot of pokes coming out from the side of Falcons Vega. They just know how to pressure the side of ONIC Soul. 10 minutes in, they know the power spike is on their side. Jin Chao has been farming a lot. Look at the damage onto Rian. Bursted down just like that. That was the basic attacks coming out from the Nathan, and you get Agatha's skills as well that is able to take her down. Just 2 hits.
Now you see her, now you don't. And now it's a 5v4 situation as it looks like Falcons Vega is looking for the end.
Thal gonna go in for the Minoan's Fury just to make everyone back away. And right now all the minion waves are crashing in. ONIC Soul has to clear this one out. And Falcons Vega though, they know that ONIC Soul is slowly starting to get their items, so they have to respect that as well, not forcing out any team fight because they know that everything is under control right now. They can get this Lord, get in another Lord, push in the side towers, and maybe at least take in the game. But taking a look at the items here, Eterna, what can you tell us? It seems like all of these players from ONIC Soul are building up the Athena Shield and the Radiant Armor, of course, to counter out the Nathan and to counter out the damage from the Vexana.
But honestly, with how far Jin Chao is leading right now, 2k, 3 items in the belt, it's going to be a lot more difficult to try and look for that counterplay in terms of these item builds, right? I mean, even the Harith, right, just was able to secure that Divine Glaive. Hopefully in these team fights, that damage will come through. But the main problem is not the damage that is there or not for Rian, but mostly the counterplay that Falcons Vega have set up to make sure that Rian doesn't even get a chance to compete in these team fights. We saw that damage already given in by Jin Chao, and now Jin Chao makes it a lot worse, picking up the Bloodwing. So in addition to that magic power, Jin Chao already also has a little bit more shield to play with, more versatility in these team fights, and more staying ground in these team fights.
Yeah, you see how Caramel and Thal are just baiting out the ultimates here from ONIC Soul, right? Like making sure that they don't have it right before a big objective. Look at how fast Jin Chao is chunking down that Lord. It's so fast they can take it down in less than a minute with no contest at all from ONIC Soul. You were talking about the Harith here of Rian, and yeah, even though with the Purifier, right, she's unable to dance her way through the members of Falcons Vega due to the counter engage, due to the heavy CC that Falcons Vega has. Now they're going to pressure out this bottom side. Rain to go in for the Fettered Airstrike Authority, and of course to flicker out to safety, but not to their safety because Thal is here to go in for that setup. You know, it's Fury right before the Lord well picks up that killing spree. 4 members left to defend the base of Onyx All. Falcons Vega, that's looking clear to them. They want to get in this game. They're used to be second, and now they finally get in a win. A first place here up against Onyx All, but it's still not clear yet, Eterna. We still don't know who's going to Riyadh because we still have a whole lot more games. But Falcons Vega, they're going to be moving forward, and